I'm going to start speaking about the sailing and our passage over the last 6 days. On my right, I have Johannes Schwartz, which was the project manager for this passage, and on my left, I have Enrico, which was the crew manager. We start putting this program together maybe 3 or 4 months ago, when I visited Johann Schwartz in Trieste, in what is the name of the marine over there?
Hannibal, training yes. For the Barconada.
Yeah, and I was very impressed with the boat, because the winds were light, were like 6-7 knots that day, and we were sailing already at 10 knot speed. So I asked Johannes if he would kindly make his boat available to be used as a vehicle for the promotion of the work of the foundation, and we have come to an agreement, and a few months later we did it. Enrico put together a wonderful team. I'm going to present each one of the real heroes behind this successful passage. Starting from the left, Julio, which was our OBR, but besides being our onboard reporter, he was also sailing like everybody else. Luca, which is from Switzerland, so sorry, Julio is from Italy, right? Yeah. Luca is from Switzerland. Then Harin, I cannot never pronounce correctly. Harin is from Holland. Giovanni from Italy. Bram from Belgium. Philip from Poland, and Enrico from Italy as well.
I forgot one.
I leave for the last propose. And Johannes from Austria. And as you can see from the face is my brother Luis, which came with me on this venture. So we had 8 nationalities. Actually, we count 10 nationalities because on board we had also four guests, 4 VIP guests that came with us. They are here on this room, and they are pretty busy business persons, and that put on hold all their work in their office to come and join us on this project. So together we were 10 nationalities, 13 different backgrounds, but what I have seen is that even if most of us have never sailed together, within 24 hours we were a team, because we were united around an ideal, which was the values of this foundation. On the very first night, we had the first technical problem, right? So it was at 3 o'clock in the morning. There was one shift on the deck. The other half of the crew was sleeping. We were so enthusiastic and maybe pushing the boat too hard. Johannes told me, Paulo, I think this is not going to work. It's too much sailing, too much power for these wind conditions. But we had young blood on the boat. No, I'm not speaking about me, but really wanted to push hard, and I think what happened is that we lost the A4, which is one of the largest sails we have on board, on the front sail. And but I was impressed that at 3 o'clock in the morning it was very dark. The wind was blowing very heavily. We had winds of Enrico.
The gust was 35 knots when we lost the
gust of 35 knots. We had waves of maybe 7 to 8 meters high. Everybody came on deck to help, and together it was amazing to see how the problem was solved quickly and safely. So I would like to let hear what I testimony about this wonderful crew and the great job they have done. And I really feel that within 24 hours, this was a team, and we never had during the 7 days any kind of issue in terms of personal relationship on board. So the morale was very high. We did have a few other technical problems related to the heavy weather. One of the pittons was broken during the jibe. When we arrived, part of the front, how do you call it, was washed.
This is a small thing.
Small things.
It was just showing how fast we were going. It was just washed away.
Things were washed away from the boat. We were going really fast. So we sailed 160 hours over the last 6.5 days. We had top speeds of around 30 knots. We had the winds close to 40 knots. And Enrico told me when we arrived that during a 2-day period we did almost 1,000 nautical miles. So I believe we were very close in one of those days, 24-hour period, to 500 nautical miles. So you can imagine it was really, really a fast trip, the first half. The second half, of course, we had to slow down a bit, not only because of the sea conditions, but also we had to do a few jibes. I will let Johannes to explain a bit what was our strategy. We slowed down a bit, we made a few jibes, and I think altogether, Enrico, correct me if I'm wrong, we made approximately 2,400 nautical miles over the sea.
Yes.
And do not forget that we had to climb and descend the waves, which also increased the distance by another, you told me 5%.
5%, yes.
Yeah. Johannes, you want to comment a bit on the technical part of the trip, our route, our strategy?
Yeah. First, the broken Jenica was like a part of the game. It was clear that we were pushing hard, full throttle sailing, and it's just a calculated risk that these kind of things happen. We were doing this kind of for fun. In a race, we wouldn't take the risk because it would mean that we would lose if we lose a Jenica. But by this we were just going super fast because we were enjoying it, and as it went then, we had to slow down. The first part was very fast. We were covering the first 1,000 miles in about 2.5 days. It was one leg almost approaching the right direction. Then the wind turned, and it turned to be downwind. Second half, and downwind we have to jibe. So there's a jibing angle of about 100 degrees. We have about 35 to 40% more way to cover than in a direct way. So we were still going very good. Performance was excellent, but of course because of this extra weight jibing downwind, it just takes longer.
Mm-hmm. Yep, thank you. In terms of issues on board, I don't think we have any issue. We had a few medical situations, but very, very small, that were promptly corrected, and everybody arrived fine. I want a special thank you to Giovanni, because I tell you, Giovanni, besides helping on the sail, he also cooked for all of us. And I tell you that cooking at 30 knots on waves of 8 meters is really hard work. And it helped to keep the morale of everybody up. So now speaking about the foundation, that was what we were promoting with this transatlantic trip. The Mirpuri Foundation works on 5 different pillars. We work on medical research, aeronautical and aerospatial research. wildlife conservation, marine conservation, and social responsibility. And for 2017, we have selected marine conservation as one of our main work teams. So the foundation supports marine conservation in two ways, not only supporting by financially with local institutions and other foundations that work on projects that are defended as a concept by the foundation, but also we work with governments around the world and leaders to show them evidence of what is happening and motivate them as much as we can to change course of action. As you have seen on this film, if we do nothing and you let the things go on, many, especially the poor countries, will start very soon having real problems. We start this trip on purpose from Cape Verde, and I was speaking with local leaders. I was speaking with local fishermen and with also local institutes that work on oceanography and somehow in marine conservation. And we had on our table on this side, on the press conference that we made before leaving, the representative of the fishermen. And he told us that 20, 30 years ago, it was very, very easy for them to go a few hours on fishing, not very far, and they could come with a lot of fish back home. Today, the things have dramatically changed. They have to go deeper. The problem is that they don't have the equipment to go further, and this means that they are catching a lot less fish and they are starting having social problems. What we show to the politicians is that if by overfishing, by pollution, by acidification of the oceans, we have less fish on the oceans, people, local communities that live near the sea and they have a big part of their economies depending on the sea catch, will not have no more fish to take home, to sell and to feed their families. And this will generate social problems, and social problems that will turn out becoming political problems. So it's in the interest of the leaders, as it is in the interest of the ocean and in the interest of the people, that all act together to try to change what is happening. And the problem in Cape Verde, for example, is not the local fishermen. They don't have the means to catch a lot of fish. The problem is that legally and also illegally, and illegally represents around 30% of the fishing in that part of the world, countries from developed countries like Russia, China, also some European vessels go there and really drag the bottom of the ocean. They take everything from the bottom, and then they leave and they don't care much. So when the local fisherman goes to fish, there is no more fish. But overfishing is only one of the problems that we face. There are a lot more problems that we have presented in our film, like the acidification of the oceans, the increase in the temperatures that by 2050 will be 3 to 5 degrees. And if this happens, the two combined, this means the complete loss of corals by 2050. So we are not that far away. So the foundation is trying to make a difference, and through initiatives like the one that we have just concluded, try to spread the word.
Hi, so today we were talking already about the Volvo Chain Race, that is your next target. Why the Volvo Chain Race, and what is the plan to arrive in 2020? And I have also a question from the other side, from the environment. You said why you choose Cape Verde as start of this transatlantic crossing, but why Barbados? There is some particular reason, or from the ocean point of view, or not really?
Okay, I go question by questions. I want to be a bit careful when I speak about the team of the Volvo Ocean Race on a press conference. The foundation has decided to support a major sailing event in 2020. There are a few coming up, and Volvo Ocean Race is one of them. And what I can confirm is that, yes, indeed, Mirpuri Foundation is in serious negotiations with the Volvo Ocean Race organization to have one Mirpuri Foundation sailing boat on that competition. We have selected 2020 for different reasons. The change of the decade is always an important, is a change, and our foundation work is always about change. So it's a change of a decade, is a change hopefully for the better, but also we intend to have a Portuguese team, because the project is backed by the Portuguese government as well. We want to make sure that we have enough time to train the sailors. We hope to have the team ready by the end of this year. Actually, by June, we want to have the team ready. We know there are always some adjustments, so we will freeze it until the end of this year, so on the last quarter, and then the trainings will start immediately after. So the trainings will last during 3 years. And we are selecting the sailors not only by nationality. They will be Portuguese just because the foundation is Portuguese and because there is a backup from the Portuguese government. And as you know, the Volvo Ocean Race stops in Lisbon, which is the Portuguese capital. But we are selecting these sailors not only by their technical skills. Of course, they need to be top sailors. Today, I understand a lot better than 1 week ago what about these boats, how demanding they are, how difficult they are to sail. And we did it only 7 days, so now I can imagine doing it during several months across the world. We did 2,400 nautical miles. The Volvo Ocean Race is, I think, over 40,000 nautical miles. So it's very demanding, not only physically but mentally as well. So needs to be really top sailors from the technical aspects. But equally important for us is they need to be ambassadors of the foundation. So their human aspects will be for us equal important. They need to understand, they need to defend, and they need to really be motivated by the values of the Mirpuri Foundation. At this moment, what I can say is that our target is that 80% of the team will be Portuguese. Probably, for different reasons, we will have 2 members that will not be Portuguese. But it's no problem for us. We defend always the multicultural aspect, the multinationality aspect of this race. So we will probably have 2 other nationalities. Also, an important aspect is that our team will be probably a female team. Before this travel, we were thinking about a potential mixed crew. But I think that the conditions on board are really tough, and I'm really not sure that if mixed crew will not make hard work even a bit harder. You know, this is competition, high competition boats. The conditions on board are quite basic, and so I think we will try for a female team. It's not fully decided yet, because if we don't find enough female sailors that meet our target, we might still go back to a male team. On your second question, there was a reason for Barbados. We are a Portuguese foundation doing work internationally, and I don't know if you know, but the first European to arrive or to discover these islands was a Portuguese, Pedro Campos, in 1536. So we had to look something that could have a logic within our project. And also Barbados represents is one of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean, and we want to hear what is happening with the reefs over here, because as you have seen on our video, reefs are one of the marine ecosystems that are in more danger at this moment, and the sea temperature rise together with acidification. There are projections that say that by 2050 there will be no reefs at all, and the reef barrier in Australia is a good example. If you go there and you compare images from what it was 20-30 years ago, you will see a big difference, and I'm sure all of us in the room that have not seen those pictures and look at those pictures will be kind of shocked. So we want to understand what is happening with the reefs in this part of the world. We would like to support local projects related to marine reserves. We believe that we should have around 20 to 25% of the ocean developed as marine reserves to allow the regeneration of the oceans. We know there are intentions in this part of the world, and in Barbados in particular, to launch projects in this area, and we want to hear what is being done, and if there is support that is required or needed, the foundation is here to offer help to make ideas turn into real things.
Thank you very much. So just last thing, very quick. Do you have fun in these 7 days?
We departed very happy with an ideal in our minds. I think all of us. And I think I arrived even more happier. Not because I arrived, but we had a very nice time. My intention with this project was to understand, on one side, to promote the work of the project, of the foundation, on the other side to understand what is life on board on a boat like this. I sail myself since I was 14 years old, so it's almost 35 years of sailing. But this was my first long-haul trip, and this was the first time I was sailing on such sophisticated boat, and this will only be possible because I had around me these professionals and of course my brother as well. To answer your question, yes, so I think all of us had a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please. I would like to ask you also, during the trip, did you have any signs of life in the ocean, any signs of pollution, any signs of debris?
It's a good question. One of our VIP guests did this trip on his boat last year. He was telling me that he was seeing whales, a lot of dolphins, a lot of fish. I don't want to be too pessimistic, but we have not seen any whales. We have not seen many dolphins, only actually twice. But it could be the speed of the boat, because this boat is very fast.
And flying fish, really.
And we saw a lot of flying fish.
We felt a lot.
Everywhere.
About pollution. Fortunately, on this crossing, we did not see signs of pollution, which was very good. But we know that in many parts of the world, the scenario is quite different. Sometimes difficult to avoid them. It's difficult to avoid them. They are. I hope I will have a meeting in Alicante in the last week of February, and this is exactly one of the themes that I'm going to discuss. I'm not for Ocean Race, so I cannot speak on their behalf, but there are certainly certain ideas and certain issues that we would like to discuss with them and maybe contribute to the next generation of the Ocean Race boats. I'm very sorry. You have been.
On behalf of Barbados, I would like to thank you for two things. One, picking Barbados to come here and be your destination, and secondly, for your offer to assist in sustaining our marine environment here. It's been under great pressure. We're a very densely populated island. We would make a tremendous case study in terms of how you could turn things around. We have the Coastal Zone Management Commission, which is government. We have McGill University, which is part of the Canadian university down here doing marine research. So there's a good database here. What we really need is, I think, the kind of assistance you can provide in terms of technical people who come and say, you need to do this, because if the locals say it and everyone says, well, we've heard this before, and then some assistance. So there is marine areas that have been designated, but there hasn't been the funding there to actually implement it. There's been a lot of interest in reef regeneration, as you and I discussed earlier this morning. The fringe reefs are in terrible shape. The mid reefs are okay, and the deep water reefs are still pretty good. We still get a fair number of divers here coming. So I just want to applaud your efforts. I think it's fantastic, and we would be very much interested in trying to figure out how we could work with your foundation. And so if you have some information on that, that would be useful, and I will see that we get this thing coordinated, because there are a lot of people in this island that care very deeply about it, and I think there just needs to be a galvanizing or a catalytic event and maybe your arrival here, I'm sure we'll get it in the newspaper and on the radio, and that could hopefully be that tipping point, because that's what we need.
Thank you. Yes, this is a work that we need to do together. Like we discussed this morning, connecting with organizations that are well established in certain zones, like it is your case here in Barbados. 35 years, right? You are here in Barbados.
I know I look younger than that. But it's his fault that I don't look young anymore.
Exchanging information and how we can support. I hope this is the start of a long-term relationship, and for the better.
Well, we won't drop the ball anyway, so we will try and push you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
There is a tendency in Barbados for Bajans to believe foreigners more so than to believe their own people. So to have a person like you teaming up with us, it will have a lot more impact than if I do it myself. Although we have been financing and contributing to reef regeneration and so on over the years, through a local organization called the Tourism Development Corporation, TDC.
When we left Cape Verde, in our press conference, I invited when I would say an institution that we are supporting, that they are called Rebuilding Nature. And it was a very interesting presentation about the regeneration of the ocean and artificial reefs. So we have a lot of studies made on that I will be very pleased to share with you later on. Thank you, Mr. Devon, for coming.
Very pleasant to be I just want to say I've actually been touched, and I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Believe it or not, these are things that can easily go, beneath the radar, and we really don't realize how these things impact on our lives. And maybe there needs to be a lot more education, and we certainly need to shout it on the rooftops, because marine conservation does affect everybody. So I laud the efforts of your foundation. I certainly wish you all the best in your endeavors. No doubt we all will benefit from your work. Now, this is just a simple token of appreciation. It's not a very big gift, but I trust that you will enjoy it in small quantities. So here you go, my friend, and all the best.
Thank you.
And please, to the visiting press, I just want you guys to enjoy the island, enjoy Barbados as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mirpuri. And to the team, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.